How are you guys? Well, I'm fine, thank you. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sam Sotiri. I run the church school here at St. Nektarios. And anyway, a few years back, I had the privilege of meeting Father Stephen. I believe it was at the Clergy Synaxis in Boston. Yes, and we had some amazing conversations.
Father George's back porch.
Yes, oh yes, we had a great time at Father George Cambridis'. I don't know if you remember Thoman Panayote, we had a really good time. So I was actually, to be honest, I was a little disappointed because I had to miss your talk this morning because I was here, and then I realized I get to hear it now.
You'll get to hear it again.
So I'm really excited. So this is Father Stephen Allen, and it's Saint Irene Cristovalando, I believe, is in Detroit. Are you in Detroit or just outside?
Outside of Detroit.
Well, just outside of Detroit, Michigan. I think you're going to love his talks. To be honest, I shouldn't say this, but he's one of the best speakers I've heard, to be quite frank. So I'm really excited, and I hope you are as well. Oh boy. Anyway, Father Stephen, here you go.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's make our cross. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Who was your, is this working? Who was this, what speaker did you hear first period? Okay, well, one at a time. What was the substance of his talk? What was the substance of his talk? All right. Yes. And yes, son? Of course. Yeah. Yes, son?
He was telling us to be more in less, what's it called? Like, be more calm. Don't, like, have
Ah,
to be quiet. Just don't, like, have your head on the screen all the time.
yes. Yes. So those are all important goals. You don't want your mind to be fragmented and scattered over 1,000 things. What happens when someone's mind is fragmented and scattered over 1,000 things, there are a lot of bad results. One bad result is anxiety. Does anybody here feel nervous sometimes or anxious or worried about what's going to happen today, next, tomorrow? Yes, about life in general. And today people are extremely worried. They're very anxious. And one reason is that we don't have enough quiet time. So what you have to do, but I know you're not in charge of your house, right? Your mother and father are in charge of your house. So you have to go to your mother and father and say, let's sit down. Now, you're the boss. Tell them, Father Stephen told us to tell you to create structure in this house and force us to turn off the internet at 8 o'clock, for example. That's one example. Or not have the TV. Does anybody live in a house where the TV's going all the time? If that's the case, tell your parents, hey, you're really destroying my mind. Like, just stop this. Okay? Because I'll tell you a secret, which is that people, now I'm not a parent of children your age. My youngest child is 26 years old. But I'll tell you that parents my age and younger, we were the first people raised in the television generation. This is hard to imagine, but my parents were raised with no television, no internet. I didn't have a computer till I got a computer at work in 1988 when I was 31 years old. I'd never used a computer till I was 31 years old, right? And so, but we were raised with television, and so for a long time now, going back even perhaps to your grandparents' generation, people are used to having a lot of junk thrown at them all day long through television, and then before that with radio and newspapers, right? So you have to respect your parents, you have to obey your parents, you have to love your parents, but sometimes you have to pull them aside and give them a little talk. You have to say, Mom and Dad, you have to do this for me. You want me not to be addicted to social media? You want me not to be addicted to my iPhone? What are you going to do to enable me to do that? Not telling you to be in a rebellious way, just in a really calm, respectful way, because they need to create these structures for you, right? So, for example, a structured home, you come home, come home from school, come home from work. Maybe there's a given time when we are on the internet. We need it for school. We need it for work. We want to check what our friends are doing. Okay, fine. But then at a certain hour, okay, now let's cut it off. How many of you are in a home where how many of you in your families, do you know, I don't mean every single day, but normally on a normal day, you'll eat dinner with your parents? Great. Excellent. So happy to see that. How many of you, pardon me? That's okay. I like it. I like it up. That was, one of the worst moments of my life when I substituted at my children's high school back in the the ancient long ago times of 2003, and I was subbing in the library for a study study period, and I just had curiosity. I said, "How many of you eat dinner with your parents once every day?" Out of 25 children, one raised his hand. So how many of you eat dinner with your parents once a week? Half the children raised their hands. How many of you eat dinner with your parents like on Thanksgiving? The rest of the kids raised their hands. So I want you to realize that if you are indeed eating with your parents every day, you're indeed having dinner with your family, you're very blessed. And if you're in a home where that's not happening, bug your parents till it happens. And when you're eating, no TV, no internet, no people looking. What I hate going to a restaurant, and there are these people, they're on a date. Okay, it's this man, beautiful woman, they're sitting there all dressed up to go out to eat, and they're both looking at their iPhones. That's ridiculous. I mean, isn't that ridiculous? Right? So God made us to communicate with each other, right? Eye to eye, face to face, heart to heart. Right? Human beings are made for that. So when we cut off our human relationships and then we mediate it through machines all the time. I mean, I have a daughter who lives in Serbia, so obviously I talk to her on Google Chat or something like that. It's technology. I have to use it to talk to her. I mean, that makes sense, right? But to live on Facebook or to live on tweeting through an iPhone or computer, that's insane. Okay, it's not even to the level of sinful. Like, to be sinful, you have to know what you're doing. It's just totally stupid. It's completely insane. Okay? You have to realize that's a totally inhuman way to live. So please don't get like that. And so if you are beginning to develop, I don't know how many of you have the iPhone. I don't know how many of you are on social media. You don't have to reveal. You don't have to confess in the audience here. But if you have the iPhone and you have internet access on your iPhone, or if you just have a laptop or something and you're addicted to social media, you have to take serious steps to limit it, to get off of it. All right, and you have to work with your parents. And if you have a spiritual father, you confess it. Not like it's a horrible sin. I'm going to confess this horrible sin. I post it on Facebook 20 times a day. No, it's not. I mean, it's not like you're going to go to hell just because of that. But we could go to hell if we destroy our souls with addiction, with detaching our relationships, or alienating ourselves from God. Okay, so talk to your spiritual father. Say, Father, I really need to disconnect because I'm really addicted to looking at Facebook 50 times a day, or I'm looking at my iPhone all the time. As soon as I get out of class, I'm looking at my iPhone. So walking down the street, I'm looking at my iPhone. It's really crazy to see somebody walking down the street looking at their iPhone. Have you ever seen people do that? They're walking down the street, they're about to cross the street, they're about to get hit by a Mack truck and looking at their iPhone. Well, pardon me?
Some people actually run into posts in London while looking at
They're probably YouTube videos, right, of people running into posts, right, looking at their iPhone. Okay, that's on one hand it's funny, but on the other hand it's not funny, is it? Right? Because they're destroying their humanity. I mean, not only because they're going to get run over by a Mack truck, but that I'll be with you in a second. So now hold the thought. But they are the image. Okay, that image. Here's the physical image. Here's this guy walking down the street or a girl walking down the street with the iPhone. Boom, run into a post, or they get run over by a truck. That's a visual image of what they're doing to the inside of themselves. Okay, they're going through life hypnotized by a tiny fragment of virtual reality, and they're not seeing all the beauty around them. They're not seeing the reality around them. Okay, and they're actually making their relationships very extremely artificial. Right? They're mediating all their relationships through technology. And they've taken a part of themselves out and just put it in this machine. Okay, and that's, you don't want to do that. A human being is extremely beautiful creation of God. It's God's highest creation, right? The only human being is a bridge between the uncreated and the invisible and the visible realms. We're part angel as well as part animal, right? So a human being, that's why the demons hate us, because we were made to replace them. The demons are the angels who fell from heaven, and God created man to take their place. So a human being, your soul is an extremely noble thing, and made for noble and beautiful things, and it's made to be whole. To be whole. Do you know how, you can probably feel the difference between days when you feel whole, you feel collected, you feel centered within yourself, and days when you feel scattered, like you're in 1,000 different directions. Which kind of day feels better? Obviously the day when you're centered, right? You get more done, you feel more at peace, you sleep well. Then there are other days when you're just scattered in 1,000 directions, and you're worried about this, and you're worried about that, and you're fearful of this, and you're curious about that. And when you think about those differences of those kind of days, now, what you've just done in thinking of that difference, you've realized one of the things that the fall, that is Adam and Eve falling into sin, okay, did to our human nature. Okay? God made if we could see our first parents as they were created, we'd fall over. They would be so beautiful, so overwhelmingly beautiful and majestic, we just fall down. We couldn't even take it. You ever met someone who's just so beautiful you can't even? I guess I have. I mean, sometimes I've seen women just so beautiful I just can't even look at them. Like they're just so. I don't mean in some sexual way, just awe, right? Just awe. I guess maybe you've never seen someone like that. I'm revealing my French genes, I guess. The Frenchmen admire women, but to see someone that's so wonderful, or a performance, an artistic performance that's just so magnificent, you're just, I can't believe it. Well, if we could see our first parents, we'd realize how beautiful and how perfect God made us to be originally. And what happened when they fell into sin is that their minds became broken. The mind was made to be a perfect mirror that reflects God, and then also reflects accurately creation. For example, Adam could name the animals. He instinctively knew the right name for every animal. Right? So man's mind was made to perceive God and perceive nature and to perceive himself as we are, as things really are. And to know something as it really is true knowledge and true wisdom. Also true humility. Right? To know humility is just knowing yourself as you really are, knowing things as they really are. So what happened with the fall is, and with any sin in our own lives, with any sin, the sin breaks the mind into pieces. Like you have a beautiful mirror, it's reflecting beautiful reality, and then the mind gets broken into all these pieces, and every little fragment's reflecting some fragment of the world. Okay, that's what happens when your mind is too distracted by too many things. Okay, and part of the problem of education today is that things are just presented as fragments. Here's a fragment of history, here's a fragment of math, here's a fragment of literature, and nobody sees all the connection. Well, you know, the connection really is in orthodoxy. If you really study orthodoxy carefully, you realize there's an orthodox way to see everything. And that, in my own life, that's been one of the most important, life-changing things, to realize that there's a way to see everything. So that's a huge topic by itself. So to get back to my original question, what Father was talking to you about was very important. Please do take practical steps. It's fine to come to a conference and say, yeah, that sounds good, but you have to go home and take practical steps to do this. If to whatever degree you are, in fact, addicted to social media or an electronic device or whatever it may be, to take practical steps. There's a time of day I turn it off. There's a time of day I just have quiet time. Believe me, it may seem trivial at this point, but believe me, I'm an old man now, I'm 61. It's life or death. It really is, because God has given you one soul, God's given you one mind. You're not going to get another one. and you've got to preserve it. When you focus your mind on things that are good and true and beautiful, you realize how good things can be. Okay, and I'll elaborate on that a little bit more. But this young man had a question.
Yeah, I was saying, I heard this from someone else, I can't remember who, but about the people being distracted and
Yes.
and stuff like that. There was this lady, she was crossing the street, with her phone in her hands, going at literal snail's pace. And
Yes.
there was like 100 people honking at her, and it was a red light for her. Like she'd taken so long. She
Yeah.
was crossing at like 15 seconds, and she was still in the middle of the road while I was staying.
Well, wouldn't it be wonderful if we were that concentrated on our prayers
Yeah.
or your schoolwork? Wow, that'd be great. And actually, you can do that. You can you see, what she was doing was that she was misusing a power of the soul. We do have a power of the soul to totally focus on things. But she was misusing it. But she was revealing how powerful people's minds can be. To be so focused on something that you don't notice 100 cars honking at you. Okay? Yes.
And another thing,
Yes.
with people being corrupted, like inventors, they do smart things, they make crazy inventions that works half the time. But why do people's minds, they just start thinking of things that ruin people's lives? Like, oh, they're positives.
Yeah. Well, a person may start out with the intention of this is just going to help somebody, but then it gets out of control because human beings are fallen. When I say that human beings are fallen, what do I mean? Anybody? When I said human beings are fallen, what does that mean? What are we talking about? Yes. Right. Right, right. Our nature, as made by God, is beautiful, but it's broken because of sin. Right? So we have the tendency to do bad things, but God gives us the grace, if we cooperate with God's grace given to us in baptism, given to us in prayer, in confession, Holy Communion, then we can overcome these passions and sins. Right. Now, I'm going to give you some of the substance of the talk I gave the older group today. Human beings are made of body and soul. God created us to be body and soul. You don't have a body, you are your body. Okay? Your body isn't just like this thing you throw away. You are your body. You don't have a soul, you are your soul. And God created our body and soul to be a unity. He created Adam and Eve to be a unity, and if they had not fallen, they would not have died, and their souls would not have left their bodies. But because of sin, God enabled man to die so that man wouldn't think he was a god and live forever like a demon. So actually death was a gift from God so that we wouldn't realize, so that they would realize they were creatures, they weren't God. Because what was the lie Satan told our first parents? What was the lie? Yes.
That if they proved that
Yes.
lost good evil, then they would become like God.
They'd be God, right. So the fundamental problem we all have, is that we think we're God. Now, do you walk down the street saying, hey, I'm God? I hope. Do any of you do that? No. When people do that, yes? Do you do that? No. Ah. Yes, they make idols out of them. Right. They make idols, and then one day you see in the tabloids that they're divorced, drug addicted, and they've lost all their money. And then they're murdered, right? Or commit suicide. So that's what happened to all idols, actually. No, we don't need to go into Michael Jackson or whoever, but Ninja. All right. So not to get onto that subject, but my point was this, that our first parents were made to be perfect and be beautiful, body and soul unity. And man, human beings, are the bridge between the visible and invisible world. We're part angel and part animal. And if we get in touch with your soul, so on your day-to-day life, you're just noticing the stuff around you, the things in the visible world. What we don't realize, and what only orthodoxy can teach us and help us experience, is that our real life is actually an invisible life, and our soul is experiencing this life all the time, but we're not aware of it. We're not aware of it. Hey, we're not aware of it. So a life of prayer and a life of spiritual reading and being calm is more and more getting in touch with our invisible side. And the invisible side is the side that's supposed to be in charge. Your soul is supposed to rule your body, not your body rule your soul. So when we pray, we have quiet time, we read the scriptures, we talk to God, we're trying to be more aware of our spiritual life. What we're actually doing is putting our life in order. We're putting the higher part of ourselves, the soul, in charge of the body. Because if your body's in charge of your soul, well, your body wants this, your body wants that, and the soul just kind of goes along. But we have to learn how to control the impulses of our bodies and also control the thoughts of our souls. And the Holy Fathers teach us that all real life begins with our thoughts, with controlling our thoughts. Are any of you have the experience of being tortured by your thoughts? Like you have thoughts that are really depressed, thoughts that are really angry, thoughts that are anxious, thoughts that are fearful, thoughts that are distracted? Yes, all right. We could all raise our hands, really, honestly. Right? I do too. I'm 61, I still have them. Okay. The Greek fathers call these thoughts logismi, which means little thoughts. They're bad thoughts. Okay. And we get bombarded by these all the time. We get bombarded by these from three sources. Does anybody know the three sources that temptations come from? Temptations come from. What did I say, temptation? What do I mean? What am I talking about, a temptation?
When you really want something or you're tempted.
To do something good or bad?
Well, most of the time.
To do something bad, right. A temptation. What's the Greek word? Pirasmos, right? Temptation, pirasmos, sin. Sin is amartia, right? Okay, so Spanish is tentación. That's right. That's from the Latin, temptatio, to be tempted. All right. So when we get these thoughts, we have to reject them. So let's talk about, first of all, what is sin? Sin, in Greek, it's actually a rough breathing mark. Martia means missing the mark. In Greek it means not, and then martia is the mark. We're missing the mark. We're not hitting the goal God made us for. So what sin does, it separates you from God, who's the source of life. And also by separating you from God, it also separates you from your real self. The temptation says, oh, this is your real self. This is going to be great. This is going to be wonderful. And then you do it, and it's not so wonderful. Right? You're being separated from not only from God, from your real self, and from other people, from your real relationship with other people. So sin comes when we have a thought, a logismos. Logismos, a thought. And the thought comes, and it comes from three sources. The three sources that temptation comes from are the world, the flesh, that means our fallen nature, not just our bodies, but our souls too. Fallen nature. And what's the third one? Where else did bad thoughts come from? Anybody, everybody. The devil, right? Demons. Right. The world, the flesh, and the devil. These are the three sources. Yes?
And you were saying, God intended us to go a certain mark.
Right.
And maybe it's not our body doing the wrong things. It's not us not doing the wrong things. Maybe it's the devil tempting us to do the wrong things.
But can the devil force us to do the wrong things? Or do we have choice? Bravo. We have free will. So God gave us will to choose or not to choose. Remember Despoto's presentation today, where Elder Hieronymus said, anyone who wants to be a saint can be a saint. Wow. Okay. Volition. You have your will. Right. So we have to fight. The world is society. The world doesn't mean the flowers and the grass and the dolphins and the stars. The world means society. Okay? I know people today say, oh, society is so bad. Society's always been kind of bad. Just read history. Any of you are history buffs? Any of you are literature buffs? Read history, read literature, understand human nature. People have always been bad. Okay? That's the way people are. They're bad. You don't hate them, but you got to. And in fact, if you know people are basically kind of bad, you say, I don't mean God made them bad, but they act bad, right? Sometimes they can't help it. So if you're understanding, people are just bad, then you don't judge them. Yeah, they're bad. Yeah, I'm bad too. Okay? So you can't give in to society. Society's always changing. This year, wear green clothes. Next year, wear black clothes. This year, listen to this music. Next year, listen to that music. This year, certain things are good. Next year, these things are bad and something else is good. Okay? You can't listen to all that. Moral relativism. They're always changing, right? People are unstable. So what you have, you're so fortunate to be in the church, because in the church we have stable, unchanging, non-relative standards of what truth is, what proper action is, and what we should love, what we should desire. What we should love, what we should desire. So you're very blessed to have this. The older you get, the more you're going to realize it. Now, one thing is that in your particular age group, there are two needs. People in your particular age group, and I went through it too, we all went through it when we were your age. There are two incredible desires people feel. We're talking about the world now, and I want to talk about in adolescence. Okay? And these two things you feel are not bad things in and of themselves. They're part of the natural growing process put in you to become a mature person. People your age feel incredible, often really strong need for forming strong friendships and relationships, having friends. And to the point where they put their friends, having a friend is like their greatest need. Okay? And the other thing they want to experience new things. You want to, okay, Mom, Dad, I know it's been the same every day. Now I'm getting older now. I want to experience new things. I want to learn new things, meet new people, go to new places, think new thoughts. Okay. On the one hand, these needs are completely normal. Remember, God made us the way we are, but it's just broken. It's not evil, it's broken. Okay? It's good, but it's broken. So your desire to have friends is good. Okay? But remember, you're broken. So you won't always make the right judgments on who your friends should be. Or you won't always have the ability to choose the right friends. Or you won't have the ability to say, I like my friend, he's a good friend, but about this, he's wrong. He's not right just because he's my friend. And also, if I do the right thing and he says I'm not your friend anymore, well, he never really was my friend. Okay? So choosing friends, ask God, get on your knees at night and say, oh Lord, send me the right friends. Send me the right friends. I understand that as Orthodox in our society, we're a minority. It's unrealistic to think all your friends are going to be Orthodox and at your parish, unless it's a really big parish. Or you have 30 cousins who are all just like you. Yeah, actually, that wouldn't be bad, for most of us, that's not true. Okay, but pray and ask the Lord, send me the right friends to my life. And what you're going to find out as you get older, just hang on. Right now, you feel like you have a lot of friends. I got to have friends. Hang on. And what you're going to find out is that in a few years, if you pray and you stick to your guns, say, I'm stick to my religion, I'm stick to my beliefs, stick to my standards, and it's going to hurt if people reject me. In a few years, I'm going to realize, hey, I've got good friends. Maybe I'll just have one or two really good friends. That's all you need. In the Sirach, in the Bible says, let your acquaintances be many, let your friends be 1 in 1,000. I'll say that again. Let your acquaintances be many, let your friends, because a true friend, who's that? A true friend, you open your heart, right? You open your heart. It's so beautiful, but when God says, in the Bible, God says, my son, give me your heart. Wow, he's asking us to be his friend. That's what friendship is, right? So be very careful. Pray for God to send you the right friends. You need friends, absolutely. Okay. So on the one hand, your parents can't lock you up in your house. No friends. All those kids are bad. They're evil. Don't go around anybody. They're all evil. They're all pot smoking, fornicating, blah, blah, blah. But on the other hand, your parents can't just say, oh yeah, go out, we don't care who you talk to. Do your thing, man. Just go do it. And if you mess up, well, that's your fault. Obviously, that's not a good parent, right? So, and remember, your parents aren't perfect, right? Part of becoming an adult is you realize your parents aren't perfect, but you love them anyway. And they have a very hard job to do. So if your parents are too strict, well, cut them some slack. But make sure, if your parents are very permissive, then you've got to be your own judge. And that's harder. But you have to ask God to give you the maturity, the wisdom, the patience to choose the right friends. The other thing people your age usually want, I'm not saying each one of you, I'm not pretending to know each one of you perfectly, in general, is new experiences. I want to experience this. I want to experience that. New kind of music, a trip to a new place, a new kind of a lecture at this university, and the professor says, yeah, we're all from the aliens, and they landed here, and yeah, we're all from monkeys. Yeah, we're from monkeys, man. We should have a whole conference. We should have a whole conference on Darwinism. Darwinism is seriously bad science. Seriously bad science. Apart from religion, I mean, it is seriously bad. But that's for another day. So the desire to hear new things, and you need to hear new things. It's part of being a grown-up. You face the world. You deal with the world, right? But again, get on your knees and pray every night. Oh, Lord, send me the right experiences and send me the filter to know when I experience something new, if it's bad, to say, hey, that's bad. I've experienced it. I've known it. And if I fall in some way, if I do fall, I go to a party and yeah, I drank. I had a drink or I drank too much. I went to a party and they convinced me to smoke pot or whatever. Or other things involving sexuality I don't want to go into, but you know what I'm talking about. If you've transgressed in the wrong way, go back immediately to your spiritual father and confess. And also tell God, teach me through this. Not only, I'm sorry, I repent, but also I want to learn. What does this tell me about myself? Not to trust myself. I'm telling you, the older you get, the more you realize you can't trust yourself. I don't mean in a basic sense. Yeah, you have to trust yourself to know that the sun rises in the east and that God's the Holy Trinity. And you trust yourself to stick to your guns and stick to your faith. But you don't trust every judgment you have about life on a day-to-day basis, right? So, I'm weak. I have a limited viewpoint. I could fall. So every day you wake up and you make your cross. Say, Lord, today protect me. Send your guardian angel. Protect me. Send wisdom to my mind. And God will, because he loves God loves those kind of prayers. Now, when you say, hey, give me a Porsche, or, make me the most popular kid in the class, God isn't likely to give you what you want, because that's probably not good for you. But when you say, give me wisdom, give me understanding, help me to grow up, help me to mature, help me to be strong support to my parents, help me to love the church. God loves these prayers. He pours out he's waiting to give us spiritual gifts like this. So be careful about the world. The flesh, that's our fallen nature. I've been talking about that also. Don't trust your own judgment of everything. Okay? Because part of maturing, you have to somehow detach from your parents, and especially men, boys, have to detach from their fathers. Girls, not so much from their mothers. Girls detach somewhat from their mothers. Boys really have to detach. That's why there can be a period where a boy can really feel violent against his father. Good. It's good to love your dad. What I'm saying is that if you ever have disagreement with him, you can have it out with him. If you disagree with him, you can have it out with him. All right? But what I'm saying is, good. I mean, if you have a totally healthy relationship with your father all your life, that's great. Yeah. My son tested me a little when I was in college. He would say, you're wrong. I'd say, okay, fine. I'm wrong. Now you go back and you study and research and tell me why I'm wrong. Go back and research, read up, tell me I'm wrong. And sometimes he was right. Not about basic things, not about the faith or the Holy Trinity or the liturgy, but about, certain specific issues. Yeah, I was kind of off. Or the way, he said, Dad, the way you say this, that makes people think you're really crazy. I said, you're probably right. So what I'm saying is that as you mature, for boys and girls, as you mature, you have to distinguish. I don't mean detach in the sense of rejecting your parents. Never reject your parents, unless they become Muslims and try to force you to, renounce Christ or something like that. Never reject. Yes.
About Muslim, I'm pretty sure in their religion, if you steal something with your hand,
They do that. Yes. I understand it's very effective, actually. But are we running out of time? Okay. So I'm not saying reject it. What I'm saying is if you go through the process, if you always agree with your parents and you're totally smooth at all times, that's fine. But if you're not like that, if you have times when you disagree with your parents, remember that it's pretty normal at your age to disagree, but you have to disagree respectfully. And you have to ask yourself, why am I disagreeing? On what basis? If you want them to be reasonable, you have to be reasonable. So if it's about the teachings of the church, let's get to the teachings of the church. Okay. We have a fallen nature. That means part of a fallen nature is that your mind is not perfect. You don't understand everything. That's true of me too. I'm 61 years old. I've got a college education. I've been a priest for 30 years. I'm still learning things about orthodoxy. I still learn things about orthodoxy from children's catechisms. Right? So none of us has minds that are just perfect. I'm 17, my mind's perfect, I know everything. Right? None of us has that. But you do have to use your mind. So what I tell people is this. Young people come to me, they feel conflicted. And they'll say, I feel on the one hand, I really question my faith. Like in school, they're teaching me about I'm descended from monkeys, and boys can really be girls, and girls can really be boys, and all this, whatever, crazy things they're teaching in school. And on the one hand, I don't like that stuff, but on the other hand, I question, well, is my faith true? Is what mom and dad taught me true? So I'm somewhat attracted to these new ideas and think, well, maybe mom and dad are wrong, but on the other hand, I feel guilty, but what should I do? And what I tell them always is this. Start off, you have to when you're doing any exploration, start off from a stable point. You can't just throw yourself into the sea and just swim and find the island, right? You have to stay where you are. You're in a safe boat or you're on a safe island. Assume your starting point is stable. Give the church the benefit of the doubt. Give your parents or the priest the benefit of the doubt. So, okay, let's start off with the working assumption these things are true. But I want to find out why they're true. So do ask those questions in a respectful way. And if your parents or the priest can't tell you, well, maybe they can point you to reading literature or to a different teacher or someone to explore more. Why are these things true? And why is orthodoxy not only true in some abstract cosmic sense? Orthodoxy is even true for daily life, for having wisdom about how to live on a daily basis. Okay? And it really is. It really is. So start off with that. The working assumption that the church is right, but you can question it. You can find out. You want to learn more because you want to go from being an unquestioning or just a childish Orthodox, right, to an adult, where you know why you believe what you believe. Okay? So don't just trust your fallen nature when it says it wants something or it thinks something. Because remember, your fallen nature, people say, I want to be the real me. I want to be really me. I want to express myself, be the real me. Well, your fallen nature isn't the real you. The real you is in process. You haven't arrived at the real you yet. Okay. Has anybody heard of Aristotle? Who's Aristotle? Who's Aristotle? Ancient Greek philosopher, right? Anybody know when he lived roughly? Who was his famous student? The most famous student of Aristotle?
Alexander the Great.
Alexander the Great. Aristotle had a lot of wisdom that the church fathers, Aristotle was a pagan, of course, but the Holy Fathers adopted a lot of Aristotle, and they Christianized it, and it's really true. So Aristotle named a period of life when you know somebody is really happy. Do you know what period of life? He said you have to get to this stage before you know if he's been happy or not. What stage do you think it is? What stage? It's a stage where if someone definitely has been, and the Greek word he used was makarios, which means blessed. That's in the Beatitudes, right? Blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed, happy. Blessedness, we have two words in Greek, evlogimenos or evlogitos and makarios. Okay. Evlogimenos is like when you've been blessed by the priest. Makarios means you're happy. Your life is going great. You fulfilled your dream, whatever it may be. You're happy. When did Aristotle say, if a man's been happy or not? Anybody? You want to guess?
Their experience, all that they
And what part of their life? Okay. At what point? What chronological point in their timeline? When they're dead. When they're dead. You know if someone's happy after they've lived a full life. Where it's the purpose of our life is not to have all this happiness while we're going along. The purpose of life is to fulfill our goal. The Greek word is telos. Our telos. God made us, all of us, we're all teleological. That means God gave each of us a purpose. And you're happy on the inside when you know you're fulfilling your purpose. Right? You're going for it. You know your purpose. You know your purpose. So we only know if we fulfilled our purpose on judgment, when we face God's judgment, right? Our soul leaves our body. We go to Christ. He judges us on the last day. So my point is, don't trust your flesh, because it's aiming for little things that may be a false happiness that prevents you from attaining your purpose. Your purpose is, as the bishop was explaining this morning, our purpose is to be united forever with God, in the vision of God. What a noble, what an amazing calling. I mean, why would we not want that? Okay, but we get distracted by our fallen nature says, no, that's not, you can have it right away. Let's just go be this little minor happiness that you know is sinful. And what faculty has God given us? What's the faculty of the soul that tells us that something's sinful if we're listening? What's it called? Conscience. Right, conscience. A mark of humanity is that we have conscience. Right. So listen to your conscience. Sharpen your conscience. Don't kill your conscience. Don't kill your conscience. Every night, before you go to sleep, review your day. Who did I talk to? What did I say? What did I think? And you know if you've done something wrong or thought something. Just tell God you're sorry. And make your cross and sleep peacefully. You know God has forgiven you. And if you do this on a daily, and then when you do this daily examination of your conscience, then when you go to confession with the priest, you'll know what to say because you'll be sharp. You'll remember these things. Okay, it's very important. It's very important. Now, then there's the devil. We know about the devil. The devil are the fallen angels. They were created before the beginning of the world. They fell away. Any of you keep up with the news about like serial killers and like people like that? Somewhat. There are a lot of horrible things going on in the world right now. And I'll tell you one thing, it's interesting. There are doctors, there are psychiatrists, people who say they never believed in God. But when some of these things started happening, when they saw that governments would kill 40 million people in concentration camps, or when they saw that a boy, out of the blue, a kid would just kill his whole family, they started saying, we can't explain this. All of our science, we thought we knew better than the Christians. We thought we knew better than the saints. We thought we knew better than the Bible. But all of our science, all of our psychology, medicine, sociology, we can't explain this. Right? It's just so evil. Okay? People are beginning to realize, even non-Christians are beginning to realize there are some things that are just so evil, it must be that there's something outside of human nature. An invisible influence that makes people do things that are totally, totally against their own self-interest. Absolutely. It's the demonic. Once you understand the demonic realm exists, it opens up a whole new realm where you realize that your life is an invisible warfare. There's even a book called Unseen Warfare that's popular with a lot of Orthodox. Our life is, in Greek, it's aoratos polymos, unseen warfare. We're in an unseen warfare. Remember, I said at the beginning of my talk, the invisible part of you is your soul. Oh, by the way, what does your soul look like? Where is it? No, it doesn't look like nothing. What does your soul look like? Where is it? Nope. Not only in your brain, it is in your brain. It's all over you, and it looks like you. It looks like you. The soul The soul gives form to the body. The body doesn't give the form to the soul. The soul is encasing the body. The body doesn't encase the soul. You are your soul. You're looking at it. Okay? The body is the visible manifestation of who you are, but your soul is simply you. Okay, that's a little footnote. But the soul is the invisible aspect of you. Right? It's the angelic part of you. The angels there are really angels. They are super powerful, mega powerful intelligences that are thousands of years old. They're created before the beginning of the world. And they do interact with the bad angels, and they interact with us. We're actually interacting with them all the time. Okay, guys. No private conversations, okay? They're interacting with us all the time. So the things that we do, like make the sign of the cross, or burn incense in our house, or above all, prayer, confession, Holy Communion, these are protecting us against real invisible forces. Now, some people make the mistake of thinking, well, devils and angels are something you tell little kids to scare them, right? The devil's going to get you, or, make your cross like this when you yawn, or the exopodo is going to get into your soul, or something like that, okay? But, that sounds childish, but it's not. These are real things. These are real things our ancestors learned from thousands of years of experience. And it's really wise. Now, I'm not saying everything they tell us is wise. If it's really superstitious, but obviously superstitious, we don't. But there are so many things, our Orthodox customs are designed to protect us against this. Those things are real. They're out to get people. They hate people. They hate us because they're envious of us. What's envy? What's the passion of envy? Envy. Anybody? Envy. Jealousy. Jealous of someone else's things they have. That girl's prettier than I am. That guy's stronger than I am. Yes. Pardon me? You're jealous of their whole life. They have more money. They're more popular. Whatever. Okay. Zilia. Okay. They're envious. Envy. The demons are terminally envious. Okay. Satan, the head demon, is the most envious of all, and their envy is no end. The more you appease an envious person, the more envious they get. So they'll never be satisfied. They hate us, they want to destroy us. So remember that without feeling, I don't mean to be creepy, oh no, there are demons everywhere. I've got to go through life like this. Okay? We're not going through life like this. Why? Because we have Christ on our side. He's all powerful. The demons cannot do anything God does not allow them to do. He allows them to do things to test us so that we'll fight and we'll grow and we'll be strong. But it's real. The warfare is real. So, step one, to fight the demons, always make the sign of the cross correctly. In the name of the Father and of the Son, touch your abdomen, and of the Holy Spirit. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Too simple. Very important. Because you are your body and your soul. You do this to your body, it's also affecting your soul. And the cross is fearful to the demons. They can't stand it. I'll tell you a story about the cross. It's from the lives of the early fathers. There was once there was a Jew, a non-believer in Christ, who was going through a deserted area, and he was scared. He said it was late at night, and there was nowhere but an old pagan temple. And of course, the pagan temples are abodes of demons, because the pagan gods are actually demons. And they would sacrifice the demons in these temples. And so the temples retained a lot of demonic activity, a lot of demonic presence. This poor Jew was going by himself going through at night. And he said, where are we going to stay? And they found an old abandoned pagan temple. He says, well, I'm afraid of that, because the Jews also didn't like the pagan gods, right? So he went to the temple to find a place to stay at night. And he lay down, and in the middle of the night, the temple filled up with demons. God opened his eyes to see all these demons filling up this temple. They were having a meeting, basically. And giving orders to the junior demons and so forth. And then all of a sudden they saw this man lying there. They went all around him. Can you imagine lying on the floor in the middle of the night, and there are these demons standing around you looking at you? And the Jew thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? And he said, the Christians make the sign of the cross. So even though I don't believe in Christ, I'll make the sign of the cross. And he made the sign of the cross. And the demons said, we can't get him. They said, look, a sealed vessel but empty. A sealed vessel, like you seal a barrel to keep the wine in. So it's sealed, protected, but empty. He didn't have grace, the grace of Christ, but he was sealed by the sign of the cross. They couldn't hurt him. And he went and he confessed this experience at a local monastery, he became a Christian and a monk after that, you see. So the sign of the cross is very powerful. There's such a simple thing God's given us, such an absolutely simple thing you learn when you're 2 years old, right? But it's so powerful. So always make at the beginning of your day, make the sign of the cross, the end of your day, before you go to bed, before you start the car, before you start a lesson, before you start any work, make the sign of the cross. If you're going to have a difficult conversation with parents, friends, relationships, whatever, make the sign of the cross. Ask God to guide you, protect you from demonic thoughts. Mostly they go at us. Most of the time, demons don't throw plates across the room or go, scare you or, pretend to be ghosts or something like that. Most of the time, they're just attacking us through our thoughts. Okay? Another thing to realize about thoughts. If you ever have, a lot of people, I'm not saying you have, any of you individually, but in general, even serious Orthodox Christians will be very ashamed sometimes because they have just horrible thoughts. Like violent thoughts, they want to kill somebody, dirty thoughts. Say, where is this coming from? This is not me. Probably it's not you. Probably it is from one of these invisible intelligences outside of you shooting this stuff at you to see if it's going to work. Well, let's see what's going to happen. Try this. Okay? So don't be alarmed. Don't feel that that's the real me. Okay? One of the fallacies of modern psychology or psychiatry is that when people reveal really dirty stuff about themselves, they think, and the therapist thinks, well, we're getting at the real you. It's not the real you. It is, to a great extent, it's something demonic. It's a parasite on your nature. It's not you. Okay? So always remember that. That's not the real you, is the beautiful you God's designed from all eternity. When you've attained that telos, you've attained your end, your purpose. In the book of the Apocalypse, God says, to those who conquer, I will give a white stone on which their name is written, their true name is written, known to God alone. Your true self is something very great, and it's known to God alone. So don't think that any of this stuff that comes from our fallen nature, sins, the world, the devil, that's not the real you. It's important to remember you have a noble and high calling, and you're made to be something very beautiful in the eyes of God. So always fight to preserve that. We have 5 minutes. Do we have any time for Q&A, or does that include the 5 minutes? All right, let's stop right here. All right, any comments or questions?
What turns people away from Christ? Like sometimes people become atheists. I know they have
Okay.
during the 1800s.
All right. Right. Well, some people are turned away from Christ by direct persecution. So, for example, some of our ancestors living in Asia Minor or in the Balkans, and the Turks come through and say, accept Islam or we're going to kill you. Not everybody has the courage to get killed, right? So they give in. I'll become a Muslim. Okay. Some people reject Christ because they're convinced by arguments. They hear false arguments. They thought, well, that's smart. I'll become a Rosicrucian or an atheist or some other religion or something like that. Some people, but most people reject orthodoxy because when they're in their teen years or they go to college, they start committing certain sins. Immorality. Stuff involving sexuality. And they know it's wrong, but they get so attracted to it, they have to justify their sin. It's really okay to do this because mom and dad are wrong about all this purity stuff and the church is wrong. So that is where the majority of people in the past several hundred years, the majority of people have fallen away from orthodoxy strictly because they started sinning in that way when they were adolescents or in college or in young adulthood. And that the demons grabbed them and just pulled them away because that's very powerful. The sexual desire is a very powerful impulse. God put it into us after the fall for the preservation of the human race. So we want to get married and procreate, right? But then people misuse it because it's so powerful. Then they start justifying their sin, saying, well, and they feel ashamed to go to church. Well, I don't want to go to church, I'm doing this, and I really respect mom and dad, and I respect the priest, but on the other hand, I really can't give up this relationship, and maybe I'll just distance myself, okay? Or they justify themselves. The church is wrong. My lifestyle is cool. And I'm afraid that's the majority of people. Not because of persecution or some incredibly intelligent argument, just because they're sinning and they want to say, oh, the church is wrong, so I can sin. See, that's...
Most religions and Christianity believe in not like persecuting Christian people because of their religion, not racism,
So forth and so on.
and they just pray for them. And I hope that they all change their like why stuff like that start.
Well, on the church's teaching about fighting is very nuanced, right? It's not just black and white. If it was black and white, we'd say, well, we never fight at all. Is the Orthodox Church pacifistic? Do we say it's a sin anytime to fight anytime? No. What's the church's teaching? Right? The church's yes.
His teaching is that it's necessary to fight when it will prevent greater evil.
Correct. Correct. If someone's breaking into my house, going to kill my wife and children, I can shoot them. If I have to. I mean, preferably I'd have to knock them down or tie them up or whatever, but if I have to, I can shoot them. Right? If someone's invading, I live in an Orthodox homeland. We have an Orthodox king. We have a patriarch. We have a beautiful Orthodox empire. It's a Christian land. And the pagans are coming in. They're going to kill everybody and burn down all the churches. Well, we have to go fight them. Okay? We have to fight them. Also, this whole racism thing, it is not a sin to prefer your own kind of people to other kind of people. That's just human nature. Okay? It's not a sin to prefer your own kind of people to other kind of people. Okay? God gave us nations, languages, races, and so forth. Those are just extensions of your family. Okay? So you shouldn't feel guilty for like, well, yeah. Say, for example, if you're Greek or you're Romanian or whatever, it's not a sin to say, I'd rather go to a Greek church. Okay? It's not a sin. It's a heresy if you say that Romanian church is not Orthodox and we're Orthodox because we're Greek. That's a heresy. Okay? But you say, I feel more comfortable at my Greek church. Why? Well, I'm a human being. Okay? I'm a human being. Or I grew up in America. I feel more comfortable with English in the service. I'm a human being. Okay? So God made us, He made us to love in concentric circles. Okay? You can't go from being loving nobody to loving some little kid in Africa you never met before. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. People using off that as an excuse. Well, I gave money at the office, so I can still beat my wife, because I gave money to the little children in Africa. That's ridiculous. Okay, God made us to love in concentric circles. We have to love God, love ourselves in the proper way. I don't mean, I love myself, not egotism, but to love myself since I want my salvation, right? Treat myself with dignity, to live like a human being, okay? To love my family, love my parish family, my church, love my community. Love the heritage of my nation. If you're from any of the Christian nations, you have a beautiful heritage. Start at your heritage. If you're a Greek, do you know Greek history? If you're Romanian, Bulgarian, whatever, do you know the history? Do you know your culture? Do you know your folk songs? Do you know your heroes? If you don't, shame on you. Shame on you. We're not generic human beings. We're Greeks, we're Romanians, we're Bulgarians, we're Russians. I'm French and English. I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud of my heritage. I went to France a couple of years ago. I said, yes, this is mine. These beautiful, the French really are extremely cool. I mean, these buildings are so beautiful. This cuisine is the best in the world. I'm proud of me, for the French are the best. That's not sinful in one bit. Except, unfortunately, they found the heresy 1,000 years ago. That's why I'm Orthodox. But we should love who we are. So this whole racism thing, don't ever let them shame you to not loving your own people, your own race, your own language, your own tongue, your own heritage. If the people shaming everybody about racism, they don't care about races. They don't care about black people. They want to make all of us generic robots so they can control us. So just don't fall for it. That doesn't mean hate other people, but do love your own people. Do love your own people. Okay. Anything else? Any other,